Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video and hope you guys are doing well. Today I want to talk about Wrath of the Lich King in general, was it success and all that good stuff. So let's get into it. The Lich King's dead and within the next week or two we'll start seeing the first few Orange Axe users. Was Wrath really as good as we remember it, or was it just carried by nostalgia? So original Wrath of the Lich King held one of the best lore storylines, including perhaps the most recognisable character in WoW history. It had millions of subscribers and was considered one of the healthiest periods of any expansion in WoW's history. Both Ulduar and ICC are regularly in the top 10 raids of all time list, and Wrath of the Lich King is a memory of a better time for the game for many. Certainly for me, I was in secondary school during Wrath. I regularly kind of rushed home from school, played WoW with my dad and his mates, played with a small group of my own mates. It was carefree and just a happier time for a lot of people. Now, I've done a bit of a data drive from a few different communities I'm a part of in Wrath, and namely kind of the NA guild I raid with, the EU guild I raid with, as well as Scott's community as well. And the responses have been really, really interesting. So I asked three questions, and then a space for them to just add extra comments. I asked, did you play original Wrath of the Lich King? I asked, have you enjoyed Wrath of the Lich King this time? And I asked, did you feel it lived up to your expectations? Now, breaking these questions down, I was very curious as to how many players had come back with some form of nostalgia, or if the concept of Wrath had appealed to new players and brought new players into the game. Now, overwhelmingly the response I got was everyone played Wrath originally, but was very bad or young or had different focuses. It seems a lot of players have come back with the idea of seeing a different side of the game than they did originally, which is cool. I mean, in terms of that aspect of the game, they've attracted a lot of players who played it originally, come back 10 years older with a completely different mindset, and it has appealed to them. They've obviously stuck around and played it. Now, have you enjoyed Wrath of the Lich King? Now, this is a slightly biased question because I'm asking people that are playing Wrath after a year of gameplay. I'd be very surprised if they didn't still enjoy it to some degree. But interestingly, almost every answer was caveated. Well, yeah, but I'm not a fan of the changes. Or, yeah, but the raids felt disappointing. Yes, but the game progression was much less interesting. Everyone was BIS and only interested in BIS immediately. Yes, but the meta focus ruined the game a little. It's very interesting that very few, if anyone I spoke to, just flat out said, yes, I've enjoyed the game entirely. And finally then, the last question I asked was, do you feel it lived up to your expectations? Now, I got a variety of different answers here, but they mirror the second question. There's a general acceptance that actually expectations were met. We came, we saw, we killed the Lich King, but there were a few things along the way that didn't quite tick all the boxes. What's really interesting to look at all of these responses was, and throughout the video I'm going to have them kind of appear that way, probably that way. Up in the middle of the screen. I'm going to kind of take screenshots anonymous. I've not put any names or anything in there, but you'll be able to see some of the responses I got, and I think it's really, really interesting to see what people thought about this. So reading into all of these responses and adding some thoughts of my own, in general, the raiding in Wrath of the Lich King was how we expected. Phase 1 and Phase 3 to be an absolute joke and probably too long and boring. Phase 2 to be slightly harder, and Phase 4 to be the real climax of raiding. Some common thoughts around raiding was just a lack of announcements regarding a roadmap. So we didn't know how long we were in a certain phase for, and that due to player skill improvements, very few bosses in the entire expansion actually felt like they offered a true challenge. Now, players' responses actually didn't mention the class changes at all, but lots mentioned the dungeon changes, which is interesting. Overall, there are actually quite a large split on the dungeon changes. Some people really liked the concept, but not the execution. Some people thought they were just a generally good addition, and others thought they were awful additions. Me personally, I'm in the camp of good concept, poor execution, and I've talked in videos previously as to what I think they need to do to improve this if it continues into Kata. Now, one part I want to talk on is the PvP in Wrath. In original Wrath of the Lich King, I really picked up PvP and enjoyed it. Now I was still young and quite inexperienced, but I remember hitting like 1800, thinking I was going to be the next arena champion going to BlizzCon. This time round, I've tried multiple times to dip my toe back into PvP, and I've been put off on multiple levels. Finding an arena partner now, you have to have 6 gladiator titles, 2 rank 1s, a signed letter from Seiju talking to your healing abilities just to get into a 1600 push team. The game has been solved so much in the long years since original Wrath on different private servers and things like that anyone without all of the knowledge is really just not welcome. That mixed with the horrific scripting issues, PvP really needs a massive overview before we progress further into Classic, in my opinion. Overall, I think it's really good to hear that people have got a lot of enjoyment out of Wrath, and I do feel like nostalgia was a lot of the reason we came back. Almost everyone I spoke to played the game originally, but the game being enjoyable kept us here this time. There's a lot of kind of hashtag Blizzard changes that people haven't particularly agreed with, whether it's the change itself or the execution. I do feel better comms from Blizz because of appeased some people, like a roadmap or better communications regarding class changes or dungeon changes would have been very welcome. Now, I want to finish this video by saying I'd love to hear thoughts from yourselves in the comments. Let me know your thoughts around Wraths. Maybe answer the questions yourselves. Did the nostalgia drag you back? Did you enjoy the game enough to stay throughout the entire thing? Or have you kind of took breaks here and there? Is there anything that they could have done better that would have made you stay longer? I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, guys. We've just hit 2,100 subs, which is crazy. We are growing at a really, really rapid rate. So much love, basically. Catch you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.